Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Somewhere between science and superstition.
We have such sights to show you.
Strange Eons. Welcome to Strange Eons Radio. That's Eric over there.
Hello.
That is Vanessa over there.
Hello.
I'm Kelly. You guys, I had quite a day yesterday.
Yeah?
You know our buddy Carlos?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I've heard of him.
He is a man of many interests. One of them
Yes.
is cooking and smoking his meats and stuff like that.
Sure.
And he said to me, Kelly, would you do me the honor of joining me for a boxing match tomorrow night?
Okay.
And I will make us pulled pork sandwiches.
Oh my God.
And I said, yes, I will.
You're the most spoiled friend
Yeah,
of
no
all
kidding.
time. Oh no, I have to go to an exclusive event and then I have to eat delicious, slowly roasted meat that my friend is just going to present for me on a plate.
Well, it didn't go off as easily as all that, Vanessa.
Uh-huh.
I got there about 3. He'd been smoking the pulled pork since about 9.
Okay.
And we had to leave for the boxing at about 5:30.
Uh-huh.
So he's checking the meat, the temperature of the meat the entire time, and it's getting close, but it's taking a long time.
Sure.
And finally, it was like, well, we can't wait any longer. The temperature is not right for the meat to eat. So, mind you, we've had a bottle of wine
I
while
was
we've
gonna
been
say,
waiting.
it's not like you weren't consuming anything.
And he's
He
like-
must have been.
He's like, we got to go. We got to go to the fight.
Okay.
So he has to take this out of the smoker and then just put it in the oven and let it sit,
Mhm.
just so it doesn't get,
Spoil.
well, yeah. So then we go watch boxing, which was amazing. It was an absolute blast. I really didn't realize how popular the local boxing circuit is.
I had
And
no idea.
this was a pro fight, and as many fights on the card, and really great boxing. Eric, you would have loved it.
Oh, wow.
I got away from boxing a little bit because all the stuff you'd watch on pay-per-view and everything was a bunch of very big, hard hitters that
Right.
were exhausted after about round 2, and they would
Yeah.
hug their way to the end of the match.
Mm.
Everybody in this on this card was just trading blows like they wanted to knock each other out, and it was really exciting stuff.
Wow. Where was this held at?
This is down in Auburn.
Okay.
And so then, of course, it's 4 hours of boxing.
Oh, wow.
Carlos is now getting hangry. I can tell because we were doing a lot of boxing talk while the matches were going on at the beginning. And then we're doing a lot of pulled pork talk during the matches towards the end. So we finally race home and get back to his place about, I don't know, maybe 11. And he starts cooking finishing cooking the pulled pork in the oven this time.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
it's also taking forever.
Oh no.
shit.
So now we've opened another bottle. He's put out this huge
Did you guys eat anything?
cheese and
in
cracker
there?
thing.
Okay.
Well, then I realized what was happening was he was feeling horrible as a host because he
Aw.
promised me food, and I was like, I'm fine. I'll wait for this. This is fine.
No.
So then he made me cheese sticks,
Like,
but he made an inordinate amount of them, like 20.
Oh my God.
Guess who can eat 20 cheese sticks? Apparently,
That guy.
this guy right here.
were they deep fried
Yeah.
cheese sticks? Okay,
Yeah, he's
like
got his own little.
fancy
Yeah.
versions of Red Robin kind of thing.
Yeah, they were tasty. I'm feeling a little weird this morning.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
It was like I ate 20 cheese sticks.
I've noticed that as people, human beings, get older, I've heard this thing about how they have a harder time digesting milk products.
Hmm.
I'm wondering, perhaps 20 of them
Well,
might have been a little too much for you.
I don't feel like I've had trouble digesting them. I
Oh.
mean, they're all out now.
Oh my God. Ugh.
Yeah, that's why
So-
I'm feeling a little weird.
Did you get to have any pulled pork in the
Yes,
end?
finally.
Like
Uh,
3 a.m.
Yes, it was. I left at 3 a.m. So at about
Okay.
2:30, the pulled pork came out, and I was like, "I'm stuffed. I can't eat any of this." And he's like, "You're goddamn eating this. I've been cooking this for 17 hours, and you are going to eat this." And so I ate it, and guess what? It was
Pretty
delicious.
good.
I
Yeah.
can
Yeah,
only
it was.
imagine.
It was something else. A real nice time.
I just feel bad for Carlos through all of this because I can just see the stress and
Oh,
pressure and
his
frustration on his face as he's just like, oh my God, 5 hours in, it should be ready. Oh my God, 7 hours, it should be in, ready. Get back from the match. Oh my God, 12 hours in, and it's still not ready.
we're in the main event of the match, and we've been leaning over and talking to each other about various things, and he leans over and he's like, "I am so hungry. That pulled pork is going to taste so good tonight." While the main
No.
event is going on, and they're just trading blows like Rocky Four, and I'm like, "All right, this is obviously distracting you quite a bit."
Oh my God. Incredible.
I also had some time to watch some stuff
Oh
this
my
week.
God. You actually watched something between all of that?
I should have asked if you were going to maybe talk about this because I don't want to take something away from you, but I saw a movie in the theater.
What'd you
Whoa.
see?
I saw Dungeons and Dragons.
Really?
Yeah.
What
Oh,
did
okay.
you think of Dungeons and Dragons?
Did you see Dungeons and Dragons?
I did.
Was this going to be one of your choices? Because I have other things I could talk about.
No, I have like 6 things, so
Oh,
I'm good.
Oh
fantastic.
my.
I liked a lot of it.
Yeah.
There were some things that I was like, oh, this is almost a little too silly.
Mhm.
But I thought that overall, I think it's probably the first time I've really enjoyed Chris Pine as an actor because I
Yeah.
just don't like him.
I think you don't like Chris Pratt and you keep thinking Chris Pine is Chris Pratt.
I like Chris Pratt.
I don't believe you.
Chris Pratt is the Guardians of the Galaxy guy, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I like him.
Okay. There's a lot of Chris's out there.
There's
I
a
don't
lot
know.
of Chris.
You know what
And
I
they're all
think it
similar looking.
is that Chris Pine has fooled everybody into thinking he's handsome, and he is most definitely not handsome. He is a very odd-looking person, but
I feel like that about 90% of ladies. So welcome to the club
oh,
of being like, why do people think this person's attractive? I do not understand.
That's like the guy that was in what, Magic Mike? Channing Tatum?
Channing
yeah.
Tatum.
Yeah, he's a guy that I look at go, really?
He's really
Is it-
sweaty. Like, I like him as an actor a lot, but I do not understand the desire to be more than friends with that man.
Wow. Back to Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes.
I liked that there was a dungeon.
Uh-huh.
I liked that there was a dragon.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
And I liked that there was sorcery and swords in my sword and sorcery.
Yeah,
It's been a while.
Yeah.
it has.
I thought that the effects were really good.
Mhm.
And Michelle Rodriguez only annoyed me a small amount.
That's what I thought. I was
Nice.
like, I hate Michelle Rodriguez and everything. And this was the first time I was like, yeah, I like this role for you. This is working. This is working
Nice.
for me. I didn't spend a single moment being like, I fucking hate everything about you.
I loved her relationship with Chris Pine,
Oh,
and
so
then
good.
and then the little moment of weakness when we find out some of her personal stuff, I thought
Yeah.
was funny and touching,
Yeah.
and it overall it worked very well for me.
I can see why it was such a surprise hit. It felt like a film where they really paid attention to the story. It felt like everything had a setup and a payoff. It felt like just a tight, even though maybe it was simplistic in ways, it felt like, hey, they set this up, it got paid off. Hey, this person came in and their story happened and now they're out. Like it just really worked for me on a lot of levels. And it was just super fun.
It was fun. I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah. And it had the Bridgerton guy. And I was very excited to see the Bridgerton guy having the career that he left Bridgerton for. So good job on him.
Fantastic.
That'll work.
Well, since you took the one I really wanted to talk about, no, I saw a different movie in the theater that people have been really I don't know if it's divisive or just hating on, but giving a lot of money to, which is the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Oh, do tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's put out by the studio that makes Minions and like the Troll movies.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a kids movie.
Sure.
So it's a kids movie. And all the people who are my age, I think, went and wanted, I'm not sure what,
That Saturday Night Live.
skit. Yes, they
skit.
wanted the Saturday Night Live skit. I'm like, it's a great serviceable kids film that's super fun and very stupid. I don't think I could watch it twice because once you've seen all the cute little nods and Easter eggs and everything, it's like, well, I don't need to do that again. But like, it was really fun. They did a great job. There were like little nods. As somebody who was raised on Nintendo, like there were nods to every Mario version, every
Nice.
song, every moment. There was just so much packed in there, and it was done by somebody who understands the series and knows about, the galaxy versus the, old school versus 3 versus 2 like there was so much in there, and I was
Wow.
like not irritated by Chris Pratt, which was pretty
Hey.
shocking.
Even the fact that he's not Italian and playing an Italian
They
character.
solved that in the first 5 minutes of the film.
Oh, did
Yeah.
they give him an outrageous accent?
Yes and no.
Perfectly solved then.
It was perfect. So, just as a little bit of a spoiler for you guys, we start off with a kind of recreation of that old TV show, Super Mario Brothers. Like, I don't know if it was the opening of it,
Hmm.
but you see like this crappy, like sort of playing VHS on a TV, on a CRTV with lines across it of the Super Mario Brothers. We're gonna fix your leak. And like it's really goofy and really over the top. And then they're like, our commercial's on, our commercial's on. And they're like, was the accent too much? They're like, no, it works for this. People will get it. And then they spend the entire rest of the film not having those accents, but also not just being like Chris Pratt or Jack Black or, like they find a nice middle ground where it's not Italian accents, but it doesn't just sound like them being them either. So that worked for me.
So thumbs up from you.
Yeah, I think I had a really good time. I enjoyed it. I'm giving it a thumbs up. It's a fucking kids movie, people. If
Yeah.
you don't enjoy watching kids movies, don't see this movie.
Yeah.
This isn't for you.
So you're saying it's not that kids movie that then, kids are not going to get joke A, B, and C, but it's a, like,
No,
just flat kids film.
it's a kids film.
Okay, cool.
It's a kids film. I mean, if you like Mario and if you weren't like a Sega kid who secretly hated Mario because you played Sonic all the time, that maybe it's not for you because it's a lot of Mario. I don't know what you want.
There you
There's a
go.
lot of fucking Mario in the Mario movie.
That makes
That was
sense.
ColecoVision, so I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Oh,
Not even Atari.
anyway,
Dun, 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 dun.
entering a different world entirely, we've
Yeah.
got 1988's The Shadowed Mind, which is a South African film that was apparently banned for a decade or more.
Yeah.
And of course, Severin puts
Put
it
us
out.
out. Yep.
The idea is a story of a extreme mental hospital which deals specifically with sexual violent people.
Hmm.
And it's not nearly what that title sounds like. It's an intense film. It's a relatively low budget film, which definitely shows. It's very weird because they got the use of what looks like a train yard.
Huh.
So this insane asylum is built out of kind of looks like boxcars and shit, but trying to hide that that's what it is. It's very weird
They
looking.
should have
Whoa.
leaned into it. That sounds fun.
Yeah.
I mean, horrible, but fun.
It's very strange looking. I mean, some of the people have some real issues, but one lady, which it sounds like should lead to a movie full of nudity of her, which it doesn't, is her big problem is that she always wants to show her breasts in public.
Okay.
So that's why she's been put away in this sexual violence prison.
Okay.
I'm like, all right.
Excellent.
I think probably the main reason it's banned is it doesn't have overt, but it's got definite homosexuality talk and actions by some of the characters mixing and matching, as it were.
Mm.
But it's a Severin film. If
Mhm.
you've enjoyed Severin films, it's worth watching. It's better than some, but not as good as others.
Interesting.
It was, a movie.
The Shadowed Mind.
Yep.
Okay, well, I also got to see the first episode of the second half of the new season of Titans, which just started up again. You've given up on it completely, right? Okay.
Yeah.
It's got all the things that you would like and be frustrated by.
Okay.
So I don't know how this is going to end. They're in the Brother Blood storyline now, and there were actually some scenes that came right out of the comic book, that I remembered, and I was like, oh, that's cool. But yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. They've got Clark Kent has shaved his head now because
As
he's
you do.
found out he is a mix of a clone of Superman and Lex Luthor. And he's leaning into the Luthor side of it now.
Okay.
But he's wearing a black T-shirt with the red Superman symbol on it, like he does in the comics.
Right.
Only this is clearly a black shirt that they picked up at Hot Topic and said, "Here, put this on. This is a Superboy shirt." You can see that it pinches and rolls up at the top. And I was like, you couldn't even make him a custom shirt that would look good as a costume?
Or tailor the one you bought for him off the rack a little bit?
Yeah.
Jesus.
So, well,
Titans.
Well,
that's what happens when you turn into Max.
Yeah.
So, interesting to see what remains when HBO disappears.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, what's it going to be called next? I'm like, I can't keep up with you guys.
Max is dumb. I can
He's
say it. I
real
mean,
dumb.
HBO's a decades-long
like brand
that
we
is well
all
known.
know.
Max is oil for strong cars or for high-end cars or something.
But on Max, they can buy a bunch of total, I don't know, National Geographic or Discovery bullshit reality shows and just stick them on there, and that's great. I'm still watching Picard. I don't know if anyone else is watching
Are
Picard.
you going to look into that theater screening thing that's going on?
What is the theater screening?
The last 2 episodes are being shown. Seattle's one of them, in like 6 or 7 cities in theaters.
Oh my God.
And I don't know how. I tried to find out how you get tickets, but I couldn't. And I figured, well, you would know, but apparently not.
I don't. I will find out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will 100%. If I can watch it that way, I would. I am still just enjoying the snot out of this, except there is one thing I'm not happy about. I don't want to spoil anything, but they are. Are you both caught up?
I think I'm one behind, but.
Okay. They introduced an old enemy that I'm like, I don't need to fucking deal with this enemy ever again.
I'm fairly certain. I mean, it was all leading up to something that seemed like if we're just doing the greatest hits of the next generation, then the Borg have to be back, right?
Yeah, the Borg are back, and I could give less of a shit, especially after Picard season 2, which I forced my way through, which was all Borg all day. And I forced myself through all the Borg episodes of Voyager, which was the worst shit on Earth. Almost as bad as Picard bullshit Borg.
Oh my.
So I was really excited when I was like, oh, it's the great, the big blob thing. And now it's like seems to be pivoting. And I'm just like, I don't fucking care about the goddamn Borg. But that's okay. There's things they're doing with it that are interesting. If this was the first time we'd seen them since Next Gen, this would be incredible.
Sure.
Yeah, they just sort of pop up all over the place and disappear because nobody really knows how to deal with them.
Exactly. Like in the first episode of Next Gen, when you're like, oh my God, this weird enemy that's out somewhere weirdly in space and we've never heard of before. Except for apparently they've been there through all of history and they just really hate humans for literally no reason. There are so many other species they could give a shit about, but no.
Nope, sorry.
Borg gotta really care about Earth for some reason.
Alrighty. I also made it to the theater.
Ooh.
For Scream 6.
Finally.
Which was fun.
Oh, good.
I mean, it was definitely a step up after 5.
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed like at first they're going to attempt to change formula, but in the end they really didn't. It's like, maybe you guys should look at altering what you do now with the Scream movies if you're going to keep making them, especially one a year, or it's just going to turn into the Saw franchise and disappear entirely. But at least it was more fun.
I didn't take you for much of a Scream fan, or at least lately. So this surprises me that you went to the theater for this.
Dina loves the Scream series.
Okay.
I like most of the Scream films, but man, when they stumble hard.
Yeah.
And 5 was a stumble.
Yeah.
I did enjoy 6. So
nice.
Well, speaking of stumbling, I got to stumble to the bathroom, so why don't we take a little
Ooh.
break?
Oh man.
And then when we come back, we're talking Babysitting the Dead.
Guess what we're doing after school? Babysitting! That's cool! With babysitter Skipper and Courtney.
Rockabye babies, we'll wrap you up. Want your bottles? There, they freeze. Now that they're sleeping,
What do we do?
Skipper puts on the music. Roll, and we rock goodbye too. Babysitter Skipper and Babysitter Courtney dolls sold separately. Each comes with a baby doll and all this. From Mattel.
We have returned. But before we jump into our subgenre, remember last week I think we were talking about Bill Babcock sending a message saying all sorts of nice, lovely things to Vanessa and I and leaving Eric out. And then I saw that he posted something on the Facebook page and made sure to single Eric out.
That was very
Aw.
nice.
Yeah. So
That's
I hope
And
you're
funny,
happy, you
too.
big weepy baby over there. Jeez.
That's all right. I'll let you edit this episode.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, so Vanessa, this was your subgenre. You want to explain what you were thinking?
Yeah, absolutely. So, for my subgenre, Babysitting the Dead, I just love the idea of somebody being stuck with a dead body and either having to watch it or having to deal with it in some way, having to haul it around, whatever that is. I wanted to explore it. So,
I love it.
if you want to get the timer started,
Oh, shit. Thank you. God, I can't believe.
Whoa, look at
Wow.
I
the
know
maturity shown by Vanessa.
This is
pretty-
called Stockholm Syndrome.
it is. I'm going to learn to love it. I'm going to be like, I can't survive in life without it. It just goes everywhere with me. So I really came up with this topic because I wanted to talk about the 2019 film The Vigil.
Gewollt is me zo naar Schäumig. Aan nacht.
En die other showman, where was he leaving?
Ah, der Schäumig is het is niet normaal. Het moet lang zeggen, een van hem sprachen. Had mooi.
Moira.
De geef ik dus doe ze aan in Finn Show. Ik ga het aan de Schäumig doen, had nacht.
He needs to leave now.
You sign it through? Mrs. Litvak? Mrs. Litvak. Mrs. Litvak!
Do you want some tea?
There's something evil in this house.
We have to go now.
It won't let you leave.
What won't let me leave?
If you run out, the magic will make you crawl right back.
This is a film that just I've heard such great things about and I really want to check out. And of course, critics agree with me. Rotten Tomatoes score of 91%. Audience less sure with 52%.
Holy what?
Wow.
Yeah. I was shocked.
There's something that springs to mind. Anyways, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, is it subtitles? What is it? This has a budget of 1.8 million and a box office of 1.4 million, which kind of makes sense because it was 2019. I'm not sure what month it came out, but I'm guessing it ran into some theater issues and it did go to streaming. So I don't know what the real financing on that is. It's written and directed by Keith Thomas, who only has, shockingly, 5 titles to his name. It's like he put out his biggest hit in 2019. I don't know. However, he did do the 2022 Firestarter, and we all saw his work in the Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosity with Pickman's Model. It is starring Dave Davis, which I think is a great name. He's been in 62 things, including The Big Short, Logan. He is starring in upcoming Renfield as Mitch. He also has done a lot of TV like Walking Dead and True Detective as sort of like medium-sized roles. Lynn Cohen is also in it as Old Lady. And she's been, I'm sure she has a real name. I didn't look it up. She has 118 credits, including The Hunger Games, Munich, Manhattan Murder Mysteries. This was unfortunately her last film, and she died in 2020 in New York City. The story of this, we kind of start with a bunch of text explaining what a shomer is and who they are, how they sit with the dead, and that someone can actually be hired to do this role within the Jewish, is it Hasidic Jewish? The conservative Jewish community. We go and follow our main character, Yaakov. He is attending a meeting for those who have left the Orthodox Jewish life behind and are trying to start life anew. One woman is talking about how strange it is to be blatantly hit on in the subway. And Yaakov is really struggling. He can't find work, he can't pay rent, and also get his medication. Maybe this will come in later on. And kind of ends the meeting on sort of low note, except for one of the girls at the meeting is like, hey, why don't you call me sometime on your fancy new phone and we can go out and get some food? And he's like, whoa, okay. Very exciting for Yakov. After the meeting ends, he goes out on the street and a very religious man is standing right outside. And the meeting leader is like, hey, get out of here. I told you, you gotta stop harassing us, leave our people alone. And Yakov's like, no, I know this guy. I'm gonna talk to him. And the guy says, hey, Yakov, look, I know you've left, but I need you to sit Shiva tonight and act as shomer for a man who died. I will pay you. I know you need money. And of course, Yakov does, so he agrees. On the way to this home, Menchie tells him, hey, by the way, the guy that you're sitting for, he was a Holocaust survivor. He was a total recluse. He never left the house. His wife is going to be there. She has Alzheimer's. Also, the previous shomer left very suddenly out of a strange situation, and we're in a bind. And Yakov's like, wait, what? He's like, no, it's fine. It'll be easy. It's 5 hours. You just sit there. I'll give you money. So, of course, he arrives. The wife is furious. She tells him to go. He's not a suitable match for this thing. And it's like, oh. But then she goes upstairs to go to bed. And Yakov's like, okay, I guess I'm here and I'm going to watch this body. He does a terrible job. I don't know. They're like, he's experienced at this and he's done it a lot. Well, he doesn't do a lot of the praying and watching. So the idea is that you pray over the body, you watch it, you help its soul be protected against demons or the devil that might want to inhabit it or inhabit you while you're sitting through the night. He doesn't do shit. He kind of sits there, plays with his phone. He texts the girl poorly, which is kind of cute. He falls asleep, which I was like, this is the opposite of what you're supposed to do. I am sure of it. I don't know a lot about Jewish faith, but this I'm sure about. He kind of wanders around and is not in the room with the body a bunch. I'm like, this is weird. Meanwhile, there's a strange presence that seems to be there with him. It's sort of this dark shape in the corner of the room. And when he falls asleep, he has nightmares about his brother who died in front of him, which seems to be a big reason why he left the faith. He wakes up and he has an injured hand. The wife comes down and warns him about something in the house, a demon, a mazik, which is a creature that has its head twisted backwards and taunts its host with bad memories from the past. It haunted her husband and is looking for a new host. Yakov's like, oh, you crazy Alzheimer's lady. Get on back up to bed. Don't worry about it. But of course, throughout the night, Yakov ends up being taunted by this thing. He isn't sure what's real and what's fake. He's getting texts and phone calls that may or may not be actually happening. There's a lot of tricks being played. And he discovers he also can't leave the house because the demon has bound itself now to him. It finds people who are broken, and he sure is broken. So he must figure out how to face his fears and see if there's a way to sever his link to this new thing before the sun rises. This is a really interesting film. I enjoyed it very, very much. I like the setup. I like the fact that this takes place in an apartment in the middle of a busy street in a busy city. So you're like claustrophobic and trapped, but also it's like the outside is just right there. but he doesn't want to necessarily go. And I get it because he's trying to prove himself. And there's moments where like the lights start flickering in the house and you're like, man, this feels like a bad demon's trying to do something. And he's like trying to look at his phone and text. And he's trying to like properly get the text out and make it sound right while the lights are flickering. And he keeps getting distracted by a new text popping in. And I was like, I would have done the same thing. 1,000%. It's also really sweet when he's like, the flashlight on my phone, this is amazing. And he's like always using the flashlight because he thinks it's like the best invention of all time, which I can also relate to. It's just a great setup. It's really, really creepy. There are moments when he finds a video of the guy who passed talking about the demon. He's done a lot of research, the dead dude did, and he's trying to figure out what's happening to him. And behind him, the wife is just sitting there. But then he notices as Yakov is watching this, he notices she's whispering something, and he goes right up to the TV because he can see her, and she goes, "Look behind you." And you're like, ah, what? There's just a lot of little things throughout. Also, the music is really great. It's extremely dark and distressing at the very beginning when he's just walking through the old neighborhood and you're like, man, shit is going to get real. The ending is a little strange. I think this is an early filmmaker issue. There's a little too much of this guy being dumb and not understanding what's happening to him and then being too smart and knowing exactly what to do. There's a little mix of that. There's maybe a little bit too much flashing back to the dead guy's life. I'm like, I get it. I don't need like 4 flashbacks, and a little bit too much flashing back to the brother that Yakov lost. Not a lot of trivia on this. I really tried to look stuff up, but did not find a lot. It did premiere at the Toronto International Film Festival. It was in 2019, Blumhouse acquired it for domestic distribution, and it is available to watch on Hulu for free.
Very cool. I like this movie quite a bit.
Yeah.
I do remember the ending being a little weak.
Yeah, and the creature, like, it's really interesting at times, but then other times you're like, I don't know. I wish I hadn't seen as much as I do see of it.
Right.
And when it's blurry and strange in the background, when it's sort of hidden in the shadows, that's when it's at its most interesting, when it's doing weird, unpredictable things. But when you see it, it's like, I don't know. I didn't mind a little bit, but as much as we see it, it feels like a lot.
Yeah, you pointed out a good thing. It's high on the creep factor, for sure. A lot of like literally hair-raising moments when she says, look behind you.
Yeah.
Yes, you're mentioning though with the guy's name. I don't know. I figure a lot of people who grew up watching comedy in the 80s hear a certain last name every time you hear Yakov.
Oh, sure.
Smirnoff.
Sure.
I know
Anyways,
nothing
this is a pretty damn good film. I can guess why it probably has a low rating. It's not a pleasant reason.
Why?
Because it's Jewish.
Oh. What? Really?
Yeah.
We're there? We're stuck there? Come on, people. Come on, people. Really? Jeez, there's literally a film out right now called The Pope's Exorcist. Come on. We gotta just enjoy the fact that there are interesting polls from all different places.
Definitely.
Ugh.
In Russia, ghost hunts you. Wait a second. Ghost hunts you everywhere, I guess.
All right.
Eric, you want to?
I am ready. There are times we address a film and go, I chose poorly.
Oh, no. Oh, Eric.
This is one of those times. Not necessarily because it's bad, but good God, is it just grim. It's a 1979 film called Don't Go in the House.
Mother, I'm home. That's right. Go on. I gotta go to the boy. Mother's waiting.
No, Mama.
You're a bad boy. You're evil, and you must be punished.
Thanks a lot. Help me!
Mother, this is Linda. I wanted you to meet her before I introduce her to the others.
me.
We've got Rotten Tomatoes, 43 from critics, 33 from crowd, which was fine. It's not a poorly executed film. It's just not a pleasant experience. Directed by Joseph Ellis. He also directed Joey. That's all. Got writer of Joe Mansfield, this is the only movie he wrote. However, he was a sound department guy for the original Evil Dead, Savage Dawn, and Alone in the Dark.
Oh,
among a few other things. So he had some fun set experiences, I'm guessing. Joseph Ellison, who is also a writer named Joey, wrote another movie called Joey. There's another writer, Ellen Hamill, who wrote another movie called Joey.
Oh my God.
So you can tell the expansive nature this film led to for all the people involved. Danny Grimaldi, who was in Joey. But he's actually in lots of TV episodes, tons of Law and Order, 47 episodes of The Sopranos as Patsy Parisi, I think his name was. I didn't recognize the name, but I looked him up and I recognized that character.
Of course, yeah.
So this was his first film. Charles Bonnet, who was in Joey, and the Fists of Bruce Lee. You know, one of those Bruce Lee with one E kind of movies. Death Promise, Bill Ricci, 29th Street, first person not involved with Joey. Darcy Shane, who is in Ant-Man and the Wasp, Revenge of the Bombat Zombie Killers, and lots of film. Also her first film. So, movie opens up and it's a big old flames in the background of the credits, which kind of give you an indication of where the movie's going. Don't put a spray can into a heating area. He works at a place where they're incinerating trash and stuff, I believe. I'm not sure. It's not really gone into. But it has 2 incinerators. And one of them has a spray paint in it. And they do a dramatic close-up of warning, keep away from. When that sucker blows me, I mean, it's like sets a guy on fire way outside. It like shoots 15 feet out of the thing. It's like,
holy cow.
Impressive use of flame, but I don't think that's what would happen from one spray can. But
we'd be in a lot more trouble as a people if that was the case.
That's right. Well, Donnie, the lead guy, watches as his coworker burns, so he's not great. And all the people that help him don't take it too well that he did, and then we get lots of uses of a word that's not used so much anymore to denigrate him as a man. And I mean, it goes on for a long time. It's like, wow, inventive. He does have something very much in common with the other movie killers, and this is where the watching the body comes into it. His mom is briefly alive at the beginning of the movie, but when he comes home from work that day, well, she is not anymore. And per usual with a movie like this, he takes it really well. But he's also very excited because now he can play his records as loud as he wants.
Oh, jeez.
Which he promptly does. And it's some disco garbage.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I like disco. But when disco was bad, whew. But so he's now starts to hear sort of a devil and angel kind of thing. I am not sure if they're both supposed to be his mom. This sounds slightly different. One sounds like definitely sounds like his mom. One sort of does. He decides because his mother, when she was a child, burned his arms to burn the evil out of him. So he's got horribly scarred forearms from that. So what's his mode of choice for killing people? He builds himself a steel-walled room, captures women in the most awkward scenes I've seen in film, where he just like, why are you following this guy? The first one almost works. But from then on, I'm like, yeah, no, that's not gonna, no woman is ever going with you. I just need to drop by my house. I'll drop you off on the way home. I gotta stay here. Oh, my mom's sick. Can you stay here for a little while longer? It has a lot in common if you've seen either Maniac or Deranged, where the whole storyline's about the psycho. There's nobody hunting him. There's nothing else going on. This is just a study in insanity on screen. The practical effects look okay, like the post-burn stuff is like, yike. But the burning itself, they only really show one woman getting burned, and it's optical. And it's not great optical. It's obviously layered film stock over a woman going, ah,
So he's got this steel walled room, and then he incinerates them in it. Is that what?
Yep.
Okay.
He wears an actual asbestos suit, which apparently he kept. Like, really? You kept your asbestos suit? You know what that does, right? And has a flamethrower.
Okay. Eey.
Yeah, it's pretty grim. I've got this book, this giant book on exploitation film called, I think, Nightmare USA or Nightmare America, and he is by far the most prominent image on there. So it has an impact. So he does the wonderful, corny, I'm a tough guy speech where he's like, yeah, I was at work one time and this one guy jumped me, but I couldn't take it. So I beat him up real bad. And my coworkers stood around and applauded. I mean, that kind of story. He's like,
Oh, God.
oh. And he tells another one when he gets the crap kicked out of him for being creepy in a bar. He tells the lady he picked up, yeah, 3 guys jumped me. And then tries to explain. It's like, you are a sad man. And beyond just watching his mom, he keeps all the women that he burns in a little room where they're all sitting in their own little seats and chairs, and he talks and discusses things with them.
Lovely.
Sure. There's a scene that is a dream of him going out and setting fires on a beach, which is some impressive explosive and flame work for a movie of this budget, which I don't know the budget, but it ain't high.
Right.
And it looks like, damn, that was really freaky. Goes to a priest to get better. He comes back to his house. Do you think he's better now?
Yes.
So, anyways, less spent on this movie, maybe better. It is really, really grim. Let's get some taglines, though. If you do, then don't say we didn't warn you. For the title, Don't Go in the House.
Okay.
Threshold into terror. You have been warned. In a steel room built for revenge, they die burning in chains.
Wow. That's all very descriptive.
It was too late to tell them. What?
Don't go in the house?
I guess so. There's a Integral Cut, which is the one I watched, that was put out by Severin. Severin put out 3 versions on the disc, which I'm good with watching one. The theatrical cut was 83 minutes. And there's a TV cut that was out that's 90 minutes.
What? Does it include the commercials?
I think they did the thing like they did with Halloween where they shot a few extra scenes and put in, but the integral cut has all of that in it. So I didn't miss a thing. Wow. It was also a video nasty. Was not released in the UK until 2011. The women who played the burn victims were hired separate from the actress because they were much smaller, because when a body gets burned, it loses water. So they wanted smaller women playing the burnt corpses. Like, okay.
I like that they were going for some realistic detail
They
on
really
this.
thought about it.
They did try hard. The building that it was his home is a huge house, but it's now currently the Atlantic Islands Historical Society, and has all kinds of museum stuff for that area. And they show the movie once a year in the location. Like, wow! Excuse me. The location is open every Saturday and Sunday from 1 to 4 p.m. Admission is free. It's located 27 Prospect Circuit, Atlantic Highlands, New Jersey. For those of you that care. But every October they do play the movie. Anything else important? It is informally known as part of the Don't series. It came out the month after Don't Answer the Phone, and the month before Don't Go in the Woods Alone. Yeah, that'll work.
Wasn't there a spoof called just Don't?
Probably.
I
That
think
sounds
that was
familiar.
was that part of the double feature
For Grindhouse?
for Grindhouse? I think they had a trailer that was just don't.
Just Don't? Okay.
Don't.
That
Yeah.
sounds right. Yeah, there's a trailer. I think it's on this one too, but I have another Severin that is Don't something. And the guy there put together a trailer of all the people saying don't go in for all the movies that have that. And it's pretty hilarious. So, that trailer's on this release as well.
Excellent. And what year was that from?
79.
Okay.
Tons of people involved, and
Yeah.
the disc is elaborate with most of the people seem to still director interviews, all kinds of stuff. And
Okay, I'm putting 10 minutes on the buzzer. I cheated a little bit, but I think it'll work. The movie I chose is from 1992, Pet Cemetery 2.
Hey, what are you doing?
Getting things ready for Mom.
Mom's dead, Jeff.
She doesn't have to be.
Something strange.
Now, I didn't think much about it until I saw him drag the body out of the coffin.
Something ancient.
Bury your own.
Something evil.
Was it your idea of a joke to send me blood from a dead animal?
This dog is alive.
Not this dog.
Something terrifying is happening in Ludlow, Maine. Again.
Pick up your family and get the hell out of that town.
Pet Cemetery 2.
Jeff, honey. Father and I need to talk.
Some stories just won't stay dead.
Budget of $8 million. Box office of $17 million worldwide.
Wow.
Rotten Tomatoes critics have it at 22%, and the audience has it at 31%. It is directed by Mary Lambert, who has 89 credits. She directed the very first Pet Sematary movie.
Yeah.
A lot of TV, and a ton of MTV videos, including Borderline, Like a Virgin, Material Girl, and Like a Prayer from Madonna. Don't Go Away Mad, Just Go Away, and Without You from Motley Crue, and Another Rainy Night, and Building Empires for Queensryche. Written by Richard Oughton. 6 credits, including Carlos, Lionheart, Little Nemo, Adventures in Slumberland, and Journey Number 2, The Mysterious Island. Journey to the Mysterious Island. Right?
Beautiful. Genius.
Starring Edward Furlong, 75 credits, including Terminator 2, Detroit Rock City, and The Crow, Wicked Prayer. Jared Rushton, who has 23 credits, including Overboard, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and he was Tom Hanks' friend in Big.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And starring the great Clancy Brown, 327 credits, including Highlander, Starship Troopers, and The Shawshank Redemption, one of our finest character actors, and an amazing voice actor.
True.
Okay, here we go. Have you guys seen Pet Sematary 2?
I don't think I have.
I think so.
I'm not sure why you would have.
When did that come out again?
92.
Yeah, maybe.
I did not for sure, but I'm fascinated to figure out how this fits into our category.
Well, I will say this. This is not a good movie,
Okay.
but I had a great time with it.
I'm sure that'll work.
So we open on this really cheesy scene that looks like it's set much earlier than the first film. It actually looks like we're watching a Hammer film. And that is because the camera finally pulls back far enough for us to see that the scene we've been watching is on the set of a horror film. So we see the lights, the director, all this stuff. Our protagonist, Jeff, is there, and he's watching from behind the cameras because the lead in this film is his mother, the actress Renee Hallow, which I think is a great name for a horror actor. Which means that when she is accidentally horribly electrocuted on set, Jeff is there to see it. So a year later, he and his dad, played by Anthony Edwards, who was the head nerd and goose, they move to Ludlow, Maine, and move into the house from the original film, I think. Doesn't look anything like it, but I think that's what we're supposed to believe. Jeff meets the sheriff's son, Drew, and they become pretty fast friends. But the sheriff, played by Clancy Brown, is a real fucking prick. There's also a town bully because every Stephen King story needs one.
Sure.
And Jeff gets on his bad side immediately, too. So one night, the sheriff shoots Drew's dog because it interrupted him during sex.
Classy.
And Drew asks his new friend Jeff if he'll help him bury the dog in the Micmac burial grounds to find out if the rumors he has heard are true. There's something about this that I hate and kind of love, that this town seems to have the burial ground as an urban myth that they all kind of have heard of, but it's so far and hard to get to that nobody's ever tried it. I'm like, okay, I kind of like that.
Sure.
So Jeff and Drew make that hike and they get up to the burial grounds, which is still pretty cool looking, but it's all done during the day. I don't know exactly why. Not nearly as creepy as the first one, but you get to see from an aerial shot, you get to see the entire burial grounds, and that is really a cool looking shot. There's a lot to like in this movie, but this is a bad movie. This, I guess, counts as Babysitting the Dead because they're definitely waiting for it to come back, but they're not sitting
They didn't
next to
leave.
the grave. Yeah,
Okay.
they bury the dog, and the dog does come back. There's actually the Babysitting the Dead happens repeatedly through here in this kind of way because they are very stupid kids.
Sure.
So the dog does come back, and guess what? It is a real fucking asshole now.
Shocker.
You
Yeah.
know, I feel like the expectation should just be if you come back from the dead, you're not going to be such a good character anymore.
If you've got this place as an urban myth, wouldn't the myth also include, oh, by the way, everybody who comes back is a real fucking asshole?
Yeah, you would think.
The juicy part of the story is left out there.
So Jeff's dad is also a doctor, and he actually treats the dog's gunshot wound, which doesn't seem to be healing. And even weirder, he can't find the dog's heartbeat. And when he sends blood samples to the lab to be examined, it is determined that the blood is deteriorated and is the blood of a dead dog.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know. At some point, the dog fatally mauls the sheriff, and the boys feel like they need to bury him in the burial ground to cover up their fault in this. But guess what happens when you bury a bad person in the pet cemetery?
Oh my God, they come back really nice.
Nope, wrong. They come back as a complete fucking asshole. No matter what. This is all this thing does is pop out assholes left and right.
Man, what were the Native Americans thinking? You know?
The boys are basically just trying to stay out of the sheriff's way now that he's back. But that leads Jeff into an uncomfortable scene with the town bully where the bully is got Jeff on the ground on his back, and he's got his motorcycle above him, and he's revving the back wheel real close to his face like he's going to, shoot his face off with the back wheel. And that's when the sheriff arrives to break things up. He tells Jeff to go home. And then he murders the bully in the same way he was threatening Jeff by pushing his face into the spinning wheel of the motorcycle. Oh. It is incredibly gruesome, but it is so funny because Clancy Brown is full Kurgan by now. He's just over the top completely, and he's pretending to torment the boy, like pushing the bike closer and closer. The boy's freaking out, and then he kind of slips, and the bike wheel hits the kid's head and shaves it all off. And Clancy is surprised at first. He's splattered with blood, and he's like, "Oh!" And then he just starts laughing maniacally.
Perfect.
So then he goes on a rampage. He kills his wife and he kills his son, Drew. And then he convinces Jeff to dig up his mom's corpse and reanimate her as well.
The mom?
Yeah, because the mom was electrocuted, and that's why they moved there. And that's been the source of all his troubles as he lost his mom.
It's all gone well, so.
Yeah, so I guess there is an actual literal Babysitting the Dead scene where he does that and he waits for her to come back. And of course, she comes back. It leads to a really bizarre and unlikely climax with a lot of fire and, nothing really good. It's kind of a rehash. Everything that the original movie did, they kind of do in this, but they try to twist it just a little bit. But it still feels like, almost a remake.
So this is definitely based off of Stephen King's second novelization of Pet Sematary 2. Is that correct?
I'll get into that in the trivia.
Excellent.
Oh, interesting.
Okay, so let me say just a few things about this movie. It is not good, but it is not as bad as everyone says it is. And the first one is not nearly as good as everyone says it is. So quit saying that that's a great movie. The remake, however, still very, very bad. The movie definitely has a much different tone than the first, and it's worth watching for Clancy's performance alone. He is fucking great in this movie, and I think that he's just having a blast with it. I think he's having such a good time. You also need to watch it for the dream sequence where Anthony Edwards has sex with his dead wife, but then she has the head of a dog.
Oh, my God.
Well, there's a style that lends itself to that.
It does make me wonder... Did they just have like a good-looking head of a dog prop and they were going to put it on her head maybe? It's like, we're not letting this go to waste. Tagline, raise some hell.
Oh.
Trivia. Mary Lambert has stated that her original concept for the film would have involved Ellie Creed as the central character, the only survivor from the first film. However, Paramount was not confident in making the film's lead a teenage girl, so the story was written with completely new characters and a male protagonist.
Sure.
Yeah, of course.
As you do.
Yeah. Worked out great. Clyde, the bully, at one point, he tells a campfire story on Halloween about Ellie killing her grandparents, the Goldmans. And then comes the 2019 remake where Ellie takes Gage's place as the undead child who terrorizes her family. In the remake of Pet Sematary, Lewis is played by Jason Clarke, who played John Connor in Terminator Genisys, a character previously played by Edward Furlong in Terminator 2.
Yeah.
While Judd in the remake is played by John Lithgow, who co-starred with Clancy Brown in The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension. Thank you.
Wow. The universe. It has real threads.
Nice.
Stephen King had his name removed from the film prior to its release.
Shocking.
And finally, Variety wrote, Pet Sematary 2 is about 50% better than its predecessor, which is to say, it's not very good at all.
Fair.
Nice.
I really wish the buzzer had gone off right after that.
That would have been perfect.
Oh, so close. Fix it in post.
Yeah, this movie is, well, it's definitely better than the Children of the Corn films. I'll say that.
Oh, okay.
Just because Clancy Brown is having such a great time in it.
It's a fair point. He makes everything better.
Yeah, I really am. I'm bummed about Mary Lambert's career, but I'm also scratching my head why she thought this was the right way to go with this. I mean, she didn't write it. The studio kind of gave her this script, but I think she could have said, I'd rather not.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Okay. Well, that's the show. Who's got the pick for the... I've got the pick for the next one, and it is... Oh, I had an idea of... well, for example, in Pet Sematary 2, while they are waiting for the dog to come back, they are watching a movie on TV. And it's an old horror film, black and white film, and all this stuff. And I was like, that's become a kind of trope where we see people either watching a movie in a theater or in Halloween, they're watching the original thing and stuff like that. So I want a genre film with a film inside of it, if that makes sense. At some point,
you could do this movie again.
Yeah.
I think I shall. I'm very busy, and I'm just going to watch this again and take different notes.
You know, for anybody who only dips in and out of our podcast, this will be perfect.
Okay, so that's what the next week's homework is, movie in a movie.
Cool.
Now's the time where we thank everybody for liking and sharing posts, participating in the value for value process, which is if you get any value out of this, turn it into some kind of value. We can't tell you what that value is.
That's right.
We're not going to say you have to pay us $5 a month because we don't know if it's worth that to you.
That's right.
You tell us what it's worth to you.
We are open to many options.
Absolutely. And Eric, don't we actually have something going on now with like PayPal, or if you feel like you want to donate monthly, there is something set up on a PayPal.
Yeah, through PayPal. If you go to our website, strangeeonsradio.com, there's 2 links at the top, one on each side of the page that'll take you to PayPal, where you can set up a monthly withdrawal to make it easier and keep you in our midst.
I love that. What a great idea. I wish I had thought of that. Anyway, anything else, guys?
I don't think so. Then why is everyone looking at me? I don't have anything to talk about. I guess if you want to leave us a voicemail.
Oh, hey, yes.
If you wanna call in to Strange Eons Radio and leave us a little message, you can get us on 253-237-4266. That number again is 253-237-4266. Let us know what you think. Just say hi. Tell us about your day. We miss you. You never write. You never call. We want to know what's up.
That's the show, everybody. We'll see you in 7 short days. We're talking movie in a movie. Transportation and other considerations for Strange Eons Radio produced by Pan Am Airlines. When you think of traveling, think of Pan Am. You can't beat the experience. Guests of Strange Eons Radio stay at Econo Lodge Everett. It's an easy stop on the road, if you know what we mean. Strange Eons Radio is recorded live in front of a studio audience. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving us a positive review on your favorite podcast app. Sit, Ubu, sit.
This is the opposite of what you're supposed to do. I am sure of it.